Hi, Jaishree. We welcome you on this platform of Global Women Power.
Hello,
And
ma'am.
you're very welcome. And then this platform addresses women, those who have excelled in their field. And we call this as Meet Our Sheroes. So today's Sheroes is Jaishree. And the way we run it is we want to know from you your inspiration, like what made you, what to choose this as your career, and from where you started and where you're going, you know, a real story we want to know from you so that our audience can get inspired too. Yeah.
So, thank you so much for having me, first of all, ma'am. Um, my journey, actually, since childhood, it was a dream to become a doctor. And my family also, everybody in the family would say that, okay, when you grow up, you're going to be a doctor. So I was a very studious, hardworking kind of person. Um, did my MBBS. That's our medical degree here in India. And then I wanted to become a pediatrician. But due to some circumstances, I couldn't because, uh, you know, there were certain issues and I couldn't. And at that time, dermatology was not so popular. And so I got medicine actually. So I started pursuing medicine, which is, so we have MBBS and then we have post graduation to become an intensivist or a physician, a cardiologist, and those kind of things. So that's what I was pursuing. Somewhere my mom fell ill, so I had to go back to my hometown, and then quit everything and be with her. And when I came back, I had to start again, restart, because again, there was nothing. So there was, in my college, there was one seat in dermatology. They said, you've been a good student, but we can't, there's no other seat. The only choice that you have is dermat. So I was like, okay, beggars can't be choosers. So let me just to take up dermatology. And mom and dad always instilled in us that whatever you do it with passion and do it with in all honesty. So I said, okay, I was a little disheartened because my dream of becoming a pediatrician was not going to be fulfilled. And then I said, okay, at least an intensivist, that also was not going to be fulfilled. So I said, okay, fine. Slowly started enjoying it. Uh, gave my 1000%. And that's how I actually became a dermatologist. And I was really fortunate that I was in a place, in an institution where dermatosurgery had just about started. And this was one of the first institutions, Dr. Balabhai Hospital and Medical Institute at that time. Um, so there were very few dermatologists across India. I'm talking about 1997, 1996, where they were sort of doing all these simple dermatosurgical procedures. They were doing vitiligo surgeries, they were doing sebaceous cysts, acne scar surgeries, all of that. And my institute was one of them. So, so there was a subspecialty. There was dermatology and there was the subspecialty. So I automatically, by default, got to learn all of that. And then I graduated. I joined my teacher. I basically requested him. I said, I need a little more exposure, a little more training, because it's so different from just what you study, and in a hospital, whatever you see. He was kind enough. So he allowed me. So in the mornings from 9 a.m. to about 2 p.m., I used to go to 4 different polyclinics. So here in India, you have these polyclinics, small centers where doctors can come and sit for an hour and consult. So I did that. So from 9 a.m. to 2 p.m., I would do that. And then from 2 p.m. onwards, I would, take a local train and go to my teacher. It was 1 hour. His place was 1 hour away. And I did that for about 4.5 years. So practice in the morning, be with him in the evening, and just assist him and learn from him and stuff like that. In 2004, after 4.5 years, I was writing all kinds of fellowship papers and trying to figure if I would get an opportunity. And right enough, I got a fellowship in Ramati Body Hospital in Thailand, in Bangkok. So I went, and that's where I learned my Botox and fillers and all the lasers and all of that, because we had very few and nobody taught us fillers and Botox back then in the country. So because my thing was, I wanted to do something different rather than just what's going on. So, and then I came back, and then I started, in a small 300 square feet place. I started my own practice. um, I did not leave the polyclinics. I would do the morning polyclinics because you can't just start a practice. So mornings I would finish all that the same 2 o'clock, and then from 3 o'clock I would sit in my clinic. um, and this went on. Because I was very good at academics, I spoke at a couple of conferences. When I went to Bangkok, my teacher, my professor there, Professor Nivat Polnikon, he was very fond of me. And because, I used to sit and assist him in his private practice as well. So we'd finish the hospital work by 6:37 and then sit in his private clinic. And till about 11, he would see patients and he would treat them and he would do their fillers or whatever, or lasers, and I would be assisting him. So then and that was when there was this radio frequency technology which had just about come. So he was like, why don't you take this device to India? And so I brought radio frequency technology to India. So I was one of the first back then in 2004 to bring it. And then I started talking about it everywhere, demonstrating, showing the before afters, convincing people that, this device works. And that's how then I got various platforms where I could speak. And well, it so happened then that there was a conference in 2005 in Hong Kong, and I was invited as a speaker, again, because of the Bangkok connection. I went there, I spoke on the same radio frequency technology. There was a professor who really, from Hong Kong, very established, very renowned, asked me a whole lot of questions. And I think I managed to convince him that, okay, this thing works. So when I came back after a couple of months, I got this call from a very high profile person rather, who said, I've been referred to you by this doctor in Hong Kong, and will you come and do my treatment? And I was like, I live in New Bombay, and Bombay is a different part. It's New Bombay is the suburbs. It's like, so New York and New Jersey. So I was in New Jersey. So, and then that was another struggle. So figuring out, how do I get this device? Where do I do her, sit and do her practice? But then in New Bombay, there were hardly any patients who wanted to do aesthetic treatments. So I said, okay, this is my opportunity. So I figured out a place, again, a really tiny, like one room, and then I would dump the machine and everything in my small, little car. I had a tiny Maruti 800, dump all of that, bring that. And that's how my journey began. And then there was word of mouth. So it was all a struggle. I came from a very lower middle class family in my childhood, a lot of struggles. And then, got married very soon. So that was again, and then brother and sister, they had to be taken care of. Mom passed away in 97. So all of that happened, but God was very kind, and there were just paths opening for me every time I took, like, I made a decision. I found the path open up. So it was as if, the new universe was trying to help me every time I made a decision. But what just kept me going all the time was my passion about, my work, and that constant zeal, which is even there today, to keep continuing, and so you fall and you get up, you fall, you get up again, you fall, you get up again, because this is what life is all about. And so there was no PR and no marketing and no nothing. It was all word of mouth. And I was new in Bombay. I was not Mumbai today. It was very new. I was not I didn't have a big daddy. I didn't have any kind of support or anything. But that's what happened. And then in 2006, again, I went to Melbourne for a conference where I spoke. I was always giving these free papers, pushing myself, taking, these, we call them loans. So it's an EMI, and then you take a study loan, and then you buy your ticket to Melbourne, because where do you have the money otherwise? And then I spoke there. I got the derma roller for the first time in India. And then again, that became a trend. And I was talking about derma roller everywhere. And then the founder, in those days, there was this company in Germany. They saw that I was doing well, and they contacted me and they said, "Hey, will you come to London to speak?" I said, "If you sponsor me, I'll come." And so they called me, they sponsored me. I spoke at the FACE conference in London, which is one of the very popular conferences. And I taught a lot of, did a hands on, taught a lot of the UK based dermatologists, and came back home. A couple of months later, I had this very high profile actor who came into the clinic. By then, I had moved to this setup of my own in Bandra. So called up and said, "Hey, I've heard about you. This doctor in London has referred me to you. And will you be able to see my skin?" So I was like, "Okay." So one from Hong Kong, the other from London, and the journey just began. So it was always about just believing in what you're doing and pursuing it and trying to innovate and get new things all the time. And so that's how you keep moving on.
I'm still stuck on one of the sentence you said, that you gave your 1000%. I never heard that earlier. But
So,
then when
so
you
when your
elaborate,
struggles are high, when you know that you can't even make both ends meet, there's hardly any money to, you have one pair of clothes throughout the year. You don't you it's a struggle. I mean, everything is like, oh my God, how am I going to do this tomorrow? Okay. So from small beginnings, when you have that kind of a struggle and you still somewhere in your heart believe in yourself, you give your 1000%.
another thing which impressed me about your journey is that, this was not subject of your choice, but then even then you brought passion in this subject too, right?
Yeah,
That
I
is
think that's
remarkable.
something that, my mom and dad always taught us. So mom would say that, even if you are, washing a utensil or sweeping the floor, which we did as kids, we never had maids and this and that. I mean, of course, in the US, everybody does it, but
Does it?
here in India, we have the privilege of having maids and cooks and all of that.
Mm,
But we came from a very, a family would couldn't afford all this, so I used to do all of that. And mom would say that, there shouldn't be like a speck on that utensil, it should look as if it's new. So
mm,
that's how you should be, working. And
mm,
dad, I remember, so I used to sing in school and stuff. So there was this one song I used to participate in a lot of elocution. So he would always, mom and dad would push me to do other things apart
mm,
from studies.
mm.
So dad made me listen to that song close to 100 times just so I got it right. So he made me write the lyrics, and so we had those cassette recorders, those big ones, and you play it, and you have those LP records and all of that. Made me listen to that. I was fed up by the end of it. But the thing was that, practice and practice and practice and practice just to get that little bit right.
Mm,
I think those kind of things, they stuck on with me, that no, you have to be. So I think I did become a perfectionist in some way because of them.
mm,
Uh, and so uh, even when you don't have things, you make the most of them, is
mm.
what, I learned.
Excellent. So you used two new words for me. One, Botox and all. I heard my ears are used to it. And the one which you got in Bangkok and the other in Melbourne. What are those two technologies?
Oh, they're very popular even in the US. One is radio frequency. It's a non-surgical skin tightening.
Mm,
So you use radio frequency to sort of heat the collagen and tighten the collagen, and it also produces newer collagen over a period of time.
mm,
And there are devices like Thermage and Exilis, Endymed, Venus, Aviva. There are a lot of devices now
mm,
which do this kind of treatment.
mm.
And then the other one,
That is like do it yourself kind of thing or
no, no, you
dermatology?
have to come to a clinic. It's a huge device. It's a machine.
Mm,
So The one that I got then was, of course, it was a newer technology. It was like a box, like a suitcase. So I could put it in my bag. But now the devices are so modified, and you have better versions, and you have these huge
Mm.
standalone devices and stuff.
So is it replacing Botox and fillings?
No, no, it's not, because
Mm.
it's not taking care of the wrinkles. It's
Mm.
only forming your face and sort of lifting your face
Mm.
without any injections.
Mm. And then it also
Other one,
to be redone.
yes, of course. I mean, you can't, you can turn back the clock by a couple of years. You can't stop the process of aging.
Mm.
So you have to do it probably once in a year.
Mm.
Yeah, 2 sessions in a year is what we usually recommend.
Mm.
And if it's a thumb arch, and every other device has its own set. Like, for example, if it's an Exilis, it does the same radio frequency, but the parameters are different. So you've got to do a session every week for
Mm.
6 weeks, and then you're sorted for about a year and a half, and then you repeat it again.
Mm.
So that's radio frequency. Um, the other one I talked about is the derma roller. Back in the day, it was just a handheld roller, which now is being sold on Amazon and online, and everybody's buying it, and they're doing the treatment at home.
Mm.
But back then in 2006, it wasn't. It's the microneedling technology. And now
Okay.
we dermatologists don't do it anymore. We use the microneedling radio frequency technology, which is a far more advanced technology.
Mm-hmm.
This thing that I talked about, now people just use it at home. So it's a drum kind of a thing with fine tiny needles, and you
Mm.
just roll it on the skin,
Mm.
and then you top it up with whatever serums and
Mm.
solutions like vitamin C and etc. So there are specific solutions. You can't just use the regular serums, because the particle size of the regular serums are much
Mm.
larger,
Mm.
and kind of channels you create with the needles are tinier. So you have those specific solutions you have to buy, and
Mm.
you pour them. So it's for, if you pour a peptide, it's for anti-aging. If you pour a vitamin C, again, it's for antioxidant benefits. If you
Mm.
pour an alpha butene, it's for hyperpigmentation. So you can do a bunch of things.
Mm.
So it basically assists in penetration of whatever product you apply. The penetration is almost about 40 times more.
Mm.
That's number one. But also, when we do it with our devices now, the microneedling with the radio frequency or the microneedling with the dermapen, these are clinic devices. You can't do them at home.
Mm.
There's also a lot of skin tightening and firming and reduction in fine lines and reduction in dilated pores, because it's also sort of stimulating your collagen.
I see. So when you being a dermatologist, is the story all about the face or the whole
Oh
body's?
no, it's about the whole body. It's about the entire, I don't know what to do with my hair. I'm just so stuck. Yeah.
Mm.
It's about the entire body.
Mm.
And being a dermatologist, I'm also not just focusing on aesthetics. I'm also looking at acne and hyperpigmentation and hair fall and eczemas and all of that. But my
Mm.
specialty is aesthetic dermatology.
I see. Aesthetic dermatology. And then you also bring the overall health of women, say, and like stress and food. And do you educate on all those sidelines also?
Yeah. So when we talk of
Mm.
good skin doesn't come with just following a skincare routine. Okay, good skin means radiant skin, flawless skin, even toned skin. Generally a skin that glows. Uh, it doesn't mean color. It just means
You're right.
fleshy skin,
Mm.
and that, to achieve that, everything, there's a direct gut health, gut skin connection,
Mm.
and there's also a direct skin brain connection.
Wow.
So
Skin
the
brain.
treatment, yeah, so the treatment has to be holistic,
Mm.
which means you need to make sure you're eating a very healthy diet,
Mm.
right? No fad diets and yo-yo crave, crash diets and whatever. Um, I always say zero sugar. I know it's a little difficult for people, but it really helps if you cut down the sugar in your diet, because sugar, accelerates the process of aging,
Mm.
causes something called glycation, and your breakdown of collagen will speeden up much more.
Mm.
um, the other thing is that sugar will also increase the IGF-1 level. It's a kind of a hormone.
Mm.
And if you have acne, that will increase. So it's not a great thing to have. Similarly, alcohol and then nicotine in any form. So whether you're smoking, vaping, using a Joule or whatever it is, nicotine again breaks down the skin's collagen at a very rapid rate.
No fun thing in the life, huh?
Sorry, no fun things in life if you want good skin. Yes, but it also depends on what you look at as a fun thing. For example, for me, and I was coming to that. So my fun thing is learning music for or playing the keyboard or going on a long drive. I mean, I go to a party and I'm dancing with all my other friends who are all drunk, and I'm not drunk, and I tell them that just in your company I get drunk without drinking. So that's the
Passive
fun.
drinking.
Yeah. So it's the mindset. I think it's how you think. It's how what you do you enjoy. I look forward to my weekly music class. I work out 3 days in a week, but I look forward to that 1 hour of working out 3 days in a week. So I enjoy all of that. Uh, so I think that's it's all in the mind. So if I tell
Exactly.
myself that no, I don't think I like sugar, my mind will say, okay, you don't like sugar. So it's also practice. So I've when I first stopped having sugar, it was difficult because my sugar was only in my tea. I love my tea. So it was very, very difficult. I started adding stevia. First, I did without sugar. I said no. Then I started adding stevia. I wouldn't like the taste. Then my brother's in Germany. He gave me some sugar free. And then I got used to that. And now I can't have tea with sugar. If you give me sugar, I just can't. So it's also about a matter of practice. For maybe 25 years or 30 years of my life, I was having tea with sugar twice a day. And then, I've switched to at a state where I don't want sugar anymore. So, okay, coming back to skin, and when I talked about holistic skin care, the first I said is your diet, and have brightly colored fruits and vegetables, more vegetables, because very, very rich in antioxidants, and that's what your skin needs and your body needs. Then, of course, comes your sleep. Now, when you're sleeping, your growth hormone goes up. When your growth hormone goes up, your collagen builds, the skin repairs itself. The melatonin goes up. It not only gives you sleep, it's a very powerful antioxidant. The cortisol level, which is again a stress hormone, that goes down. So it's an anti-inflammatory when it goes down, and it's increasing, the inflammation increases. So sleep benefits the skin also. Therefore, if you have eczemas, you have urticaria, you have acne, you have hair fall, all of these will start to repair when you sleep enough and sleep on time. So you have to follow your circadian rhythm and sleep. Try and make it a routine to, if you're sleeping at 11, then sleep at 11 p.m. every day. Don't do 11 today, 12 tomorrow, 2 a.m. the next day. So make it like a nice routine. Then comes exercise, very, very important again. know you not only does your blood flow increase, so your skin gets more nutrients at that time, but you also have all the happy hormones getting up, rising in the body when you're exercising. And so with that, automatically then it's sending signals to the brain, and the brain is sending signals to the skin, and then the skin is doing better. So exercise is important. Then figuring out how to cope with your stress is very important in today's day and age. Everybody, like a small child, also has stress. I don't know why, but how to be able to cope with it is very important, because if you stress, again, your cortisol level goes up. When your cortisol level goes up, you'll get acne, you'll get hyperpigmentation, your collagen will break down, you'll have fine lines, you'll have wrinkles, you'll have dark circles, you'll have patchy skin, all of that. If you have eczemas, that will exacerbate. If you have psoriasis, that will exacerbate. You'll have more hair fall. So stress is causing all of this. So how do I deal with it? So I tell people, listen, of course, we've all heard of, oh, you should do yoga and pranayama and meditation. It's not all that easy. So why don't you pick a hobby and at least give yourself 1 hour of me time every day and work on that hobby? Maybe you're good at art, or you want to draw, you want to paint, probably do that. You like to sing, so do that. You want to swim, you can do that. Whatever, you want to sew something, you want to play a sport, or you want to just close yourself, shut yourself in a room and dance like a monkey, that's also fine. Nobody's watching you. Put on a
Mm.
Bollywood song, which is like the most hilarious song, and dance. Do whatever.
Mm.
So, but it's very important. Self love is very, very important, because if you don't indulge in that, and if you don't, love yourself, the confidence doesn't come in, and then automatically your bad hormones are increasing, and the skin is not going to look radiant and happy,
Mm.
because ultimately, whatever is inside is going to reflect on the outside. If you're happy, your skin will glow. If you're not, you may do 1000 treatments and your skin will still remain dull. So that's again very important, and to keep yourself engaged. you
Mm.
know so that's important. So once you're engaged, for example, me, if I it's not just patients that I'm dealing with, I'm also attending conferences and learning new things. I'm reading up all the PubMed new journal articles. I'm giving lectures. I'm doing a little bit of Instagram. So I'm trying to do everything in my own way, in my own capacity, without getting overwhelmed that, oh my god, I don't have time and whatever. No, give yourself a little time. When you do that, and then do your skincare ritual, which involves cleansing, moisturizing, and sunscreen, which are non-negotiable,
Mm.
you can add on whatever serums you want to.
Mm.
And maybe after the age of 35, you should do some little bit of treatments here and there, to be able, I'm not saying, be at a skin clinic every week or every fortnight or not even every month, but
Mm.
maybe once in, every quarterly, you could
Mm.
do some treatment, because, you can't defy the process of aging. So you need something. So
Mm.
20% is your genes, 30% is maybe your lifestyle,
Mm.
and another 20% is your skincare routine, but 30% is what do you do in terms of treatments for the process of aging.
Mm.
So I always say, age youthfully but gracefully. So
Mm.
never overdo things.
Mm.
So that's it.
Or that AI is here now. You can always. My sister sent me a picture and I just was playing with AI. She said, don't change so much that I won't be able to face people. I face.
Recognize you. Yeah. Yeah. And
So,
sadly, it's happening today.
right.
Sadly, it's happening today, and people need to realize that, perfection is not beauty,
Mm.
or looking like somebody else is not beauty. We all are unique. We all have our own unique features.
Mm.
And I think just enhancing those and being better versions of ourselves, or a little younger versions. I'm not saying 20 years young, maybe 5 years younger,
Mm.
uh, a 5 year younger version of ourselves,
Mm.
um, is what we should aim at, because beauty lies in the uniqueness. It doesn't lie in perfection.
Mm. So most of your clients are men or women or equal?
I think equal today, equal, yeah. If
Mm.
you would have asked this question when I started practice 25 years ago, it was only females, maybe one or two men. But
Mm.
now it's almost changed, and it's
What's
equal.
the youngest patient you had? How old?
So I'm also a dermatologist, so I treat even newborn infants with allergies and uh, eczemas and stuff like that.
Mm.
But if you're talking of aesthetics, then when it comes to acne, maybe even 9 and 10 years old,
Mm.
when they have acne. And if you talk of aesthetics, where you do treatments for somebody to look better,
Mm.
then even at 17, 18, we would probably do some chemical peels or some microneedling for someone who has scars. So if you have scars, and you have traumatic scars, surgical scars, acne scars, depressions on the face, and that's taking away the confidence and self-esteem from you, then we address that. So, and then finally, if you talk about fillers and Botox, um, 22, when it comes to maybe very, very thin lips,
Mm.
and the person wants to be an actor. I mean, I do deal with a lot of celebrities.
Mm.
So if they have extremely thin lips,
Mm.
then maybe I will do a little bit of a lip filler. If they have sunken eyes, genetically the bone here is sunken, so it's deep, and they have hollow eyes, and they look tired no matter how much they sleep, then I would
Mm.
probably do an under eye filler even at the age of 22. I know people are doing it at 16, 17 nowadays, but I try to push it a little bit. And when people come to me for anti-aging, I start at 35 usually.
Oh, that's the right age to start with.
The right age. So, I always say that do not wait for the building to collapse,
Mm.
because then you have to rebuild everything,
Mm.
right? When we are aging, the process of aging does not just involve the skin. The
Mm.
process of aging will involve the bone. We have 5 layers here. We have the bone, and over the bone, there's like a fat deposit of fat. There's a thick deposit of fat. Then there is muscle, and then there is again some amount of fat, and then the skin. And all of these layers are aging. It's not just the skin. So
Mm.
if your bone from this has become this, and
Mm.
your fat from this has become this,
Mm.
you and the muscle becomes thin, the basic structure, the building blocks, the bricks are collapsing.
Mm.
And so the skin also, when it becomes thin, it doesn't have support, and it
Mm.
starts to sag. So everything looks like it's drooping. So if you wait for all of that to happen, it's
Mm.
very difficult for us to, again,
Rebuild.
rebuild. I mean, it's possible, but we'll have to do that much more, or
Mm.
even probably a facelift or a surgery. But if you begin early and you maintain it with small tweakments,
Mm.
you know, like a little radio frequency, a skin booster injection,
Mm.
maybe a HIFU, which is an ultrasound treatment, a microneedling. So maybe 3 or 4 treatments in a year, you will be able to maintain your face, pretty much as it looks at 35 or a little more. I mean, you will not allow that collapse to happen, which
Mm.
is why you should start early.
Mm. I think I'm going to have a sleepless night tonight because I'm not doing any of these. But
That's
it's
all
good,
right.
good
I mean,
education, right?
sometimes it's okay. I mean, if you when you
So
again,
you're
when you,
talking about preventives, right?
yeah, I'm talking about preventives. But if you haven't managed and you want to do something now, it's never too late. You can still do something, and you look gorgeous. So, don't worry.
The same thing I was about to ask you, like your, brightened face, does it say something you are using things, or it's just like that
Yes.
because you are
No,
still.
no, 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 no. It's not just like that. I'm 51 years old,
Mm.
and so I can't be like this at 51.
Mm.
But I'm very, very disciplined when it comes to skincare.
Mm.
My diet, my exercise, my routine, where I don't think I've missed a sunscreen in 25 years of my life. I do apply a retinoid at night without fail. I've come to a point where I'm applying a retinoid every single day. My skin takes it very well.
Mm.
I do something called Profilo, which is a skin booster. I do that every 6 months for my face and every 3 months for my neck, because the neck tends to age faster. So
Mm.
so this is how, so it's a time, these are injections which are given on the
Mm.
skin
Mm.
to be able to stimulate your own cells, your own fibroblasts, to
Mm.
produce new collagen. So
Mm.
although it's an injection which is given like 5 points on the face and about on each side, so that's 10 and 10 on the neck. It helps to rebuild your own collagen. So your face doesn't change, you look natural, but you look younger. I also do HIFU, which is high intensity focused ultrasound, twice in a year. So
Mm.
that is a heat therapy to basically tighten my face and keep it firm. So yeah, these are things that I do,
Mm.
and to keep myself like this. And there's a certain amount, I think about 20% is my genes too.
You have to, because when you know something, you cannot unknow, right?
Absolutely.
Yeah. So another question I have, because maybe it is other people's question too, because when I think about chemicals being infused in the skin, I always ask, does it have side effects, or,
So
um,
the thing is that we have to understand the body is full of chemicals,
mm.
right? Water is H2O, that's a chemical.
Mm.
So everything and everything, anything is a chemical when you talk about it. But we are talking about synthetic substances that we are applying on the face. So these synthetic substances, most of them, what the key should be, that look for a brand which is very reputed, recommended, tested by FDA, researched well,
mm,
and is there for a long time.
mm,
So it's once it's there for a long time, it's been researched. It's been researched. If it's a reputed company, they've got stringent rules and laws and restrictions, and they do a lot of research and a lot of trials, clinical trials, and then the product comes out. So, and then the product should have a very transparent list of what are the ingredients in there.
mhm,
So once you know all of that, you may not know the ingredients, you may have to take the help of a dermatologist, but at least you know that this is a good brand and it's
mm,
for your kind of skin, because
mm,
everybody's skin is unique. You can't use the same product that
mm,
your best friend is using and has benefited, or your favorite actor is asking you to use.
mm,
So you have to use the right kind of product. And I don't see a harm in using that
mm,
because it's been researched well,
mm,
you know. But there, having said that, there are some cheaper options. There are some, in India especially, you have these creams which may have some. They say they are magic creams which will make your skin lighten, and then when
mm,
you actually test the cream, you see that it has a steroid in it, or it
mm,
has some, mercury in it or lead in it. So you've got to be very careful with the kind of product that you're using. So if you're using the right one, that chemical is not going to harm you
mm.
unless you're allergic to some substance. So it's not about, cancer and this. I've read so many,
Understood.
seen so many posts about sunscreen causing cancer.
Mm,
Actually, if you don't use sunscreen, you get skin cancer. You get melanomas, you get basal cell carcinomas, you get squamous cell carcinomas, you know.
mm,
So it's the other way around. Yes, there were certain ingredients like PABA, which have been removed now,
mm,
but otherwise, and sometimes some people are allergic to parabens and oxybenzones, so
mm,
those kind of ingredients you should remove. There are a lot of sunscreens without all of these ingredients, so you look
mm,
out for them and you buy them and use them.
mm. Did you decide to go with product line or no?
uh, at one point I did,
Mm,
and we did a lot of trial runs, and I wasn't getting the right kind of, if the consistency was good, the efficacy wasn't, and all of that was happening. And then COVID happened, and then I dropped the idea, because once COVID happened, we have a million companies which have now come out with their own. There are so many Indian companies now with products
mm,
that I said, I should focus on something else, I think. uh, so I gave it up.
mm. Is there something else you're going
Yes,
to focus on?
there is. So basically, products has never been my passion. I think that's
Mm,
why I gave it up.
mm,
I always thought that uh, it's not my job. I'm not a pharmacist,
mm,
right? But I love to teach.
mm,
I travel like 4 to 5 times in a year. I'm traveling to Europe and to the US, and I'm training and I'm lecturing, and I'm in India, I'm training all these young dermatologists. So
mm.
I think that's my vision for my future.
So you have more staff also in your clinic?
I have about 30. Yeah.
30.
Yeah.
Very nice. So I will just like to add, I have gotten deeper into essential oils, and some of the essential oils are also doing, miracles with the skin. Lavender, tree. Have you ever gone?
Yeah, I've used, yeah, yeah,
Mhm.
yeah.
So
Grapeseed oil.
grapeseed
Oh,
oil.
yeah.
So then, okay. And any books you have written?
I've written, give me a moment.
Mm.
And are they available on Amazon?
Yeah, so this is
That
my
is
book
wonderful.
on aesthetic dermatology for
Oh,
dermatologists.
Mm,
And so those who are graduating and studying and doing their fellowships in dermatology, this has all about lasers, fillers, Botox,
mm,
radio frequency treatments. Then in 2014, I released this book. It's called Skin Talks. It's by Penguin.
mm,
And in 2017, 18, I released this book, 2018. This is called Skin Rules. Both these became bestsellers.
wow.
This is also Penguin. And in 2023, I released this book. It's called the Skincare Answer Book. It's all inspired from Instagram. They're all Instagram questions. actual legit questions which people ask me on Instagram. So I've just answered them. So this is my third book. I've just signed up for the fourth book now, and we're still thinking of what the title should be and what the content should be and how is it going to be more user friendly. So hopefully in another year that will be the fifth book will be out. But
So
I've
what?
run a lot of book chapters, textbook chapters for a lot of even international textbooks. Procedures in Dermatology is one of the very famous cosmetic dermatology textbooks. I've written some chapters there, and a lot of Indian dermatology textbooks. I've written chapters.
Did you ever think of settling overseas?
No, never. I don't know. I just love my country. I love Bombay. I love my family. I have a son who's 19-year-old. He's pursuing engineering. He's in his second year now. He plans to go to the US though. He wants to do his master's there. So yeah.
And so this is how you want to expand, like teaching and training
Teaching
more,
and writing. Yes.
teaching and writing.
Yeah.
Very good. So what do you do in your me time?
So as I said, I love to write. So I love to read. So I read a lot of books. Um, I do a lot of blogging. I do journaling, and I learn music.
Indian music, Indian classical music?
Classical music, yes.
How about cooking?
Not fond of cooking. Not fond of cooking, to be very honest. I let my cook do that, and when my sister is here now from Hyderabad, and she's doing all the delicious cooking. She's very good at it. I've kept away.
Thank you very much, Dr. Jaishree. It was a marathon talk, and I was completely involved in listening, and you enlightened me. So I think next time if we meet, you will look more enlightened of us. Nancy?
Thank you.
If you know any dermatologists out our way in the Bay Area, send us some referrals.
All right, then. Hope to see
Thank
you
you.
again,
Thank
and we
you.
will just get back.
Thank you
Bye.
so much.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you, Dr. Alkan. Thank you, Nancy. Thank you.
Bye.